very visceral kind of anxiety.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
I am not talking about the fear of turbulence or, that the airline lost your bag. I am talking about bureaucratic panic.
Oh, I know exactly the feeling. It's that silence right after you hand over your passport.
Exactly. You've done everything right, or you think you have. You booked the flight, you packed the carry-on perfectly,
Hmm.
you walk up to that counter, passport in hand, big smile. And then the agent types, frowns at the screen, and asks, "Do you have your QR code for the entry authorization?"
And just like that, the vacation is over before it even started. Your stomach just drops.
It is the absolute worst. And honestly, it feels like it's happening more and more. We spend so much time on, the credit card points or the hotel reviews, and we forget about the legal part of actually being allowed in the country.
It's the paperwork panic. And you're right, it's getting more common because the whole landscape has shifted. We used to live in a world of physical stamps. Now it's a digital maze.
And that is exactly what we're unpacking today. We are doing a deep dive into this whole ecosystem of modern digital travel authorizations.
Right.
We're going to look at what's actually required to get into places like the United States, and we're going to analyze this shortcut industry that's popped up around it.
Right. And to help us do that, we have a bunch of source materials from a platform called Visa. They're a private consultancy, U.S. Vital Documents LLC, specifically. And they offer a really fascinating window into this world.
So they're the middlemen.
They are. They sit between the confused traveler and the government database.
So our mission today is to figure out if that middleman is worth it. Is using a service like Visa a smart move? Or is it just, paying extra for something you could do yourself?
And along the way, we want to pull out the practical advice from these documents so that you, listening, never have that stomach drop moment at the check-in desk.
I think that's a solid plan.
Good. Because the first thing that just jumps out from the research is that the old binary world of travel documents is completely dead.
Binary? What do you mean by binary?
Well, think back 10, 15 years. It was pretty black and white. Either you needed a full-blown visa.
Oh, yeah, where you had to mail your passport away for weeks.
Exactly. You mailed it to an embassy and just prayed it came back.
Hmm.
It was either that or you just showed up, they stamped your book, and you walked right in.
Right. A huge hassle or zero hassle?
Exactly. But reading through this Visa material, it's clear that the middle ground has just exploded. The landscape's fractured. We are not just talking about visas anymore.
No, it's an entire alphabet soup of acronyms that you're just expected to know.
You noticed that too.
I did. It felt like I was reading a technical manual.
It really does. You have ETAs, right? Electronic travel authorizations.
All right.
The source highlights these for big destinations, like the United Kingdom and Canada. And these aren't visas, legally speaking. They're more like permissions to board.
Okay. And then you have e-visas.
Right, which are just digital versions of the old stamp.
Yeah.
The source mentions places like Egypt and India using those.
And then there was that third category the text mentioned, arrival cards.
Digital arrival cards, yeah.
Yeah.
These are often for health or customs tracking. You see them for Singapore, Cambodia.
And this is where it gets tricky and where I think that paperwork panic comes from. The names aren't standardized at all.
Not even close.
I was looking at the destination list in the source material.
Yeah.
Some of these names are completely non-intuitive.
Give me an example.
Okay, Jamaica. You don't apply for a Jamaica visa. The source says you need the C5.
Right, the C5.
And if you're going to Malaysia, it's the MDC.
The Malaysia Digital Arrival Card.
See, if I didn't know that, if I hadn't read this, I would just show up at the airport with my passport. I wouldn't even know to Google MDAC.
And you would have been denied boarding. That's the reality. This is the core problem that platforms like Visa are built to solve.
The complexity.
The sheer complexity and the total lack of global standardization. If you look at how their platform is designed, as the documents describe it, it's all about centralization.
So it's an aggregator?
Essentially, yes. The source describes a user interface where you don't have to know the acronym. You don't need to know if it's a C5 or an ETA.
You just pick the country.
You just choose your destination. You select it from a drop-down, and the system acts as the interpreter. It tells you, for this trip, here is the specific digital handshake you need to do.
And the reach is huge. I was scrolling their list. It goes from Albania all the way to Zimbabwe.
It just highlights how globalized this digital red tape has become. Whether you're going to a tiny place like Andorra or a huge hub like the US, there's probably some kind of digital pre-screening you need to do.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the big one, the United States. The source material spends a lot of time on the ESTA.
Of course.
I feel like most people have heard the term ESTA, but if you actually ask them to define it, they'd struggle.
I think so. The SKA stands for Electronic System for Travel Authorization. And it is the perfect example of this shift we're talking about. It is not a visa.
It's not.
No. Technically, it's a waiver.
A waiver?
Yes, from the Visa Waiver Program. It lets citizens from certain low-risk countries, much of Europe, Japan, Australia, enter the U.S. without a visa, as long as they pass a security check first.
So it's a digital pre-screening?
Precisely. The U.S. government wants to know who you are and if you're a risk before you get on a plane. Remember those green paper forms you used to fill out on the airplane?
Oh, vaguely. The ones you always messed up because you didn't have a pen.
That's the one. The SDO basically moved that whole process from on the plane to 72 hours before you leave.
Okay, so here's where I want to push back a little, play the skeptical consumer.
Go for it.
I know that I can go to a government website, type in my details, and apply for an ESTA directly. So why is there a market for a third-party service like VisaSyst? What are they actually pitching in these documents?
That's the central question, isn't it? Why pay a middleman? And the source material is surprisingly transparent about it. They don't claim to have, like, a secret back door to the government.
That's reassuring.
It is. Instead, their whole value proposition is something they call hands-on verification.
Okay, let's unpack that. What does hands-on verification actually mean in practice?
It means that instead of your data going straight from your keyboard into the government's automated database, it goes to a human specialist at VisaSyst first. The text says they review every single application for accuracy and compliance before it's ever submitted to the government.
So practically, they're spell-checking your name.
It's a bit more than just spell check. They're looking for the common errors that lead to rejection.
Like what? What's a common error?
Well, government forms are notoriously unforgiving. If you mistype one digit of your passport number, that's an instant rejection.
Wow.
But there are also the confusing questions, the ones about past travel history or that legalese that's hard to understand. A lot of people misread those. They tick yes when they mean no.
And if you make that mistake on the official government site, what happens?
The automated system rejects you. And here's the kicker. A rejection is often sticky.
Sticky?
Yeah. If you get denied an ESTA, even for a simple typo, you often can't just reapply 5 minutes later. The system flagged you.
Oh, no.
You might then have to go to a U.S. embassy, schedule an in-person interview, and apply for a full tourist visa. And that takes months and costs way more.
Oh, wow. So a typo could literally cancel your vacation if you're traveling next week.
Exactly. So the service VisaSys is selling isn't really data entry. It's error insurance. They're the second pair of eyes.
It reminds me of doing my taxes. I mean, I could fill up the forms myself. It's free, but I pay an accountant because I want the peace of mind that I didn't tick the wrong box and trigger an audit.
That is the perfect analogy. And the source material really leans into this peace of mind angle. For high stakes, travel, a flight, a hotel, a business meeting, that verification layer is their main product.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's say I'm sold on the safety net idea. What's the user journey actually like? Is it a pain?
No, and that's the other part of their pitch. User experience. Government websites are often, let's just say, utilitarian.
That is very polite.
They crash. The phrasing is weird. They time out. The VisaSys process, as described, is just 3 linear steps. Step 1, complete the online form.
And I noticed the source emphasizes security here.
Yeah, they mention it's a secure SSL encrypted platform, which, that's the bare minimum. If a site doesn't have that, just run.
Agreed. So step 2.
Upload and pay. This is where you might submit a scan of your passport page if needed, and then you pay the fee. They take all the major credit cards.
Which is actually a nice touch. I've been on government sites where they only take some weird local card or require a bank transfer.
A total nightmare. Yeah, they're removing friction. And then step 3 is just receive by email. The approved document arrives as a PDF in your inbox.
And I saw they put a timeline on this, 24 to 72 hours.
That seems to be the standard window. It's fast enough for most people, but, and this is important, it is not instant.
So if you're standing at the check-in desk right now, the standard service isn't going to save you.
Correct. 72 hours is a lifetime when your flight leaves in 45 minutes. Although the source does mention an optional priority processing service you can get at checkout.
A note to everyone listening, please don't wait until you are at the airport. Just do it a week before.
It's good advice. But speaking of the airport, there was one piece of advice in the text that I really loved. It says, even though this is a digital document, you should print the confirmation ready for your trip.
I saw that. It feels so analog. We're talking about e-visas and digital borders, and their advice is bring a piece of paper.
But it is excellent advice. Think about it. You get off an 8-hour flight, your phone battery might be dead, the airport Wi-Fi is impossible to log into.
Or the customs agent's computer is just down.
Exactly. The paper backup. It is the ultimate fail-safe.
Hmm.
Having a physical piece of paper that says, I am allowed to be here, just stops arguments before they start.
Okay, I'm fully on board with that. Now, I want to circle back to something important you mentioned earlier. We need to be clear about who Visa Assist is.
Yes, this is crucial. The disclaimer in the source material is very explicit. Visa Assist is an independent consultancy and is not affiliated with any government.
So just to be crystal clear, they are not the embassy. They are not the Department of Homeland Security.
Correct. They are a private business. U.S. Vital Documents, LLC, a company based in Casper, Wyoming.
Casper, Wyoming. I love that detail. It really grounds it. This isn't some faceless thing in the cloud. It's a business in Wyoming providing a service.
Right. And knowing that changes how you view the why. If they aren't the government, they have to justify their existence through service. We talked about verification, but the source also highlights expert support.
Meaning you can talk to an actual human.
Yes, dedicated assistance. Have you ever tried to call a government immigration hotline?
I have. It's usually 3 hours of hold music and then a disconnected line.
Exactly. The source leans on that contrast. They quote reviews from Trustpilot. Things like, it was easy to understand, and muy fácil y rápido. Very easy and fast.
That language barrier point is interesting, too. Even if you speak English, government English is its own dialect.
It is. A service that translates bureaucracy into human has value. And they bundle other things, too. Add on extras at checkout like embassy registration or trip cancellation insurance.
And they seem to have the credentials. I saw they mentioned IATA.
Yeah, the International Air Transport Association. The source says they have a certificate in travel industry excellence. And they've processed over 150,000 documents since 2008.
Wow, 150,000. That's a huge sample size. It suggests they've seen pretty much every mistake a traveler can make.
It does. But let's go back to the skepticism for a minute. What's the biggest fear here? It's not just a delay, it's the no.
Rejection.
Right. What happens if the government just says no? Imagine you pay the government fee plus the consultancy fee to this company in Wyoming, and then you get a rejection.
That would be the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You're out the money, you're mad, and you can't travel.
This is where the source material makes its boldest claim. They have an approval guarantee.
Wait, hold on. An approval guarantee. How can a private company guarantee the U.S. government will say yes? That sounds impossible.
You know, right. They can't force the government's hand.
Yeah.
If you're on a no-fly list, Visa Assist can't help you.
Okay.
But what they can do is offer a full refund of their processing fee if the application is denied.
Oh, I see. So they aren't guaranteeing the outcome legally. They are backing it financially.
Exactly. The text says, if your application is rejected for any reason, the applicant is eligible for a refund. It's a denial protection policy.
That's actually a really strong signal. It means they're confident enough in their review process, that hands-on verification we talked about, that they're willing to take the financial hit if they mess up.
It implies their success rate is very, very high. I mean, think about the economics. If they were sloppy, they'd be issuing refunds all day. They'd go out of business.
It's skin in the game.
Precisely. And alongside that financial security, they emphasize data security. We mentioned SSL, but they also say they never share your data with third parties.
Which, given we're talking about passport details and itineraries, is absolutely non-negotiable.
Totally.
Okay, so we've looked at the U.S. ESTA and the Visa Assist model, but I want to zoom out. What's the general theory of travel docs based on this material? What are the pillars every traveler needs ready, no matter where they're going?
The source gives a great summary of general requirements, and there are 4 constants. First, obviously, a valid passport.
And it needs that 6 months of validity left-right.
That's the golden rule. Never travel with a passport expiring in less than 6 months. I've seen people turned away at the gate for it.
Ouch. Okay, pillar number 2.
Travel itinerary. They need to know when you're arriving and, crucially, when you're leaving.
So don't apply before you've booked your flights.
You need the dates, at least.
Yeah.
And third is contact information, where you'll be staying.
And the 4th?
The 4th is the one that trips people up the most. Supporting documentation.
What does that usually mean?
Often it's an ID-style photo. The source mentions you sometimes need to upload a photo that meets very specific size and format rules.
Oh, I've been there. Trying to crop a selfie to be exactly 2 inches by 2 inches against a white wall in my kitchen, it's a nightmare.
It is. And this is another place where the consultancy model pitches its help formatting that photo so the automated system doesn't reject it.
Right. And what about how these rules change over time?
The big lesson from the text is that this whole ecosystem is fluid. The source says they regularly update the products to keep up.
So the rule for this year might not be the rule for next year.
Exactly. The takeaway for you is that you can't rely on what you did last time. You have to check fresh every single time.
So to wrap this deep dive up, what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
I think the big insight is that travel bureaucracy has fundamentally shifted. We've moved from physical stamps to this complex web of digital permissions, ESTAs, ETAs, e-visas.
And while you can always do it yourself, an entire industry of services like Visa has popped up to act as a kind of buffer.
A buffer that offers speed, that 24 to 72-hour window, and that refund guarantee if things go wrong. It really boils down to a personal calculation.
What is your time and your peace of mind worth?
That's the calculation. For some people, saving the service fee is the priority. For others, knowing a specialist in Wyoming check for typos is worth every penny.
Precisely. Okay, so give us one last thought to chew on before we sign off.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it raises a fascinating question about the future of borders. We are moving toward a world where our digital borders are just as real as physical ones. But what strikes me is the role of the private sector here. We're literally seeing a private company acting as the user interface for foreign governments.
That's interesting. The government builds the wall, but a private company builds the door.
Exactly. And if a private company can guarantee a smoother, more user-friendly entry process than the government's own website, what does that say about the future of global mobility? Are we moving to a world where premium entry becomes a standard service product?
Where you pay extra not just for a better seat on the plane, but for a better experience at the border.
That's the question.
Wow. That is actually kind of mind-blowing.
That seems to be the direction things are headed.
Well, on that note, go check your passports, check your expiration dates, and maybe print out that confirmation email just in case. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Safe travels, everyone.
See you next time.